Man, I really love these headphones. I'm gonna do a review on them at some point. But what I want to talk about today is the Microsoft versus FTC whole situation, the whole debacle. We finally come to a terms that basically this is going to definitely go through. The CMA is very much so the last agency that is holding out, but they're probably going to crack in the next week or two. There's no doubt about it in my brain at this point. Microsoft is going to own Activision, and they're going to put that leverage to use. My thought is this whole media storm has been very interesting, and the people picking sides, people determining what was best for Sony, was best for Microsoft, as if they truly know, has been really interesting to watch. I've I've known gamers to be very intelligent, and then I've known gamers to be very, I don't know what you call it. They call them Sony ponies, or they call them Xbots, but it's derogatory. So I'm gonna just say that these people are super fans, stands, if you will, and they don't care what the company is either doing or actually saying, or if they're actually making gaming better. All they really care about is that their company wins. They're not getting any money for it now. They just want to make sure their company wins. So I've seen tons and tons of Twitter think pieces about what Sony should do, what they should buy, and I've seen media kind of explain to us in very simple terms that, and obviously no media is unbiased. Every media outlet is biased in some way. But what I was trying to figure out is the facts of the case and whether or not they had a point. And every time it was broken down, it was always that the FTC messed up because they did not fight for the consumer. And I get that. And they fought basically for Sony. At least that's what the indication was, is that Sony had these guys running like little minions trying to get stuff done, and it wasn't going to happen. And unfortunately, they wasn't able to stop it. I'm for the acquisition. I'm for them acquiring Activision. By the way, I just don't want to. I don't know. I don't want that to be the perspective that everybody has to have. It's not like you have to be for it, but it's also not where you like take this stance of everybody needs to get revenge. Like, what's Sony's next step? Do they buy Ubisoft? That'd be a bad move. Because Ubisoft ain't been good since in a minute. But it's not that. It's honestly Sony has been so good at making Xbox feel like lesser than for so long that people don't even realize how far ahead Sony is. And when they do come out of that, fog of Sony pony and Xbox stuff, you could see that there is a substantial difference between these two players. And Xbox has never made a quality game. Like, not a quality game in a sense of the level of Sony. Like, it's a big difference. So I just don't get how people are looking at it from a fogged lens. My understanding is this. Sony was here. Microsoft was here. They buy something, now they're here. Only thing that does is it makes Sony have to fight harder for what they want to keep, again, that lead. They were literally buying every game they could for exclusivity, and nobody cared. Nobody was like, oh, poor Xbox. They were just like, y'all buy something too. So they bought something. And unfortunately, it was super big, but they bought something. I can't get mad at them for that. I can't get mad at them for retaliating from what Sony was doing. I still appreciate Sony making my console feel superior and my console feel like a worthy purchase. But at some point, we have to understand, we got to call a spade a spade. They were literally doing things behind the scenes to make Xbox bad. Final Fantasy 16 should not be exclusive. Deathloop shouldn't have been a time exclusive. There shouldn't have been a time exclusive for Ghostwire Tokyo. You don't think they would have bought Starfield if they still had the opportunity, if they didn't buy Bethesda? They would have bought Starfield. There's plenty of games that I've seen, and there's plenty of things that we've seen to show that Sony is for the win. And the first time, it's not the first time because they bought Bethesda, but the first big boy, I'm about to slap you type of situation. Like, this is I'm about to give you a little spanky spank. Like, don't don't think we gonna just take this line down. Everybody is up in arms about why it's not good for gaming. And I'm looking like, I literally had to buy this PlayStation, not for their exclusives, but for the things I wanted to play. Final Fantasy 7, Final Fantasy 16. I mean, obviously they have good games as well, but I literally had to buy this for third parties. And it's not as if these games couldn't run on a different system. So it just feels as if somebody's a super Final Fantasy, big super Final Fantasy fan, and they're a big Bungie fan, and Sony bought Bungie, why can they do it and I guess Microsoft can't? I get it, I guess. I get it because the dollar amount attached to Activision, the prowess, the expertise, the stature of the Activision is far superior, but it still doesn't make it okay for Sony to do one thing and not Xbox to do the another. I thought this was inevitable. I always thought that because of how Xbox was going to win, how Xbox was going to get back in the game, how they were going to win is simply by buying everything, because they couldn't make a good game to save their life. And I'm not saying that they don't have games that I enjoy playing. I'm saying that the games that they are considered by the critics and everything to be top tier, you know, outside of McCaffrey at IGN, all these people don't care about these games. So in order for them to succeed, it had to be a drastic change. And that drastic change was to ramp up production, ramp up studios, and buy what you can. I I I thought it was always simple, but maybe I was just a little too optimistic about. I don't know, not optimistic. Maybe I was just a little too quick to. Maybe it is terrible, but honestly, I haven't seen it become terrible yet. I haven't seen these studios become so drastically turned around that they can't succeed. The only one I ever seen do that was 343, and they succeeded in making a game that was dying. I don't think there's anything wrong with 343 Industries. I think there's something wrong with Halo. And I think sometimes you just gotta let stuff get rebooted or die. I don't think anybody would have played God of War if it wasn't rebooted and changed. There has to be a vision. There has to be a leader. And I don't think that's what they have. So those types of things are always going to cause the game to be bad. Gears, to me, is in a good place because they drastically changed what they did. And storytelling and their ability to, and their engine and everything. I get it that it's Gears, still Gears, but Gears 5 is totally different from Gears 4, and Gears 5 is totally different from Gears 3, in my opinion. To the point where you would think you were playing a different game at points if you wasn't sitting up there wall bouncing. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to put something out because I feel like there needs to be a space right now, a place where people can go to kind of have a conversation around the true reason this was purchased versus this false narrative, in my mind at least, that they are just trying to become a monopoly. I think there's plenty of actions that could show that they were taking the steps to compete on their own terms, and Sony did a really good job of making them look like crap. So I don't blame Sony. I think this is just the law of competition. I really don't have anything else to think about that. I think if Ubisoft and Activision were going at it, and EA and Activision and Call of Duty and Battlefield, this is the same situation where these companies go after each other and try to outdo each other, but at the end of the day, one's going to be reign superior. So how do you continue to catch up? How do you continue to get better? You innovate, or you buy. And luckily Microsoft got it.